Right, so this is how you make the sailor toddle tot. You need a sailor toddle tot with a small white hat and a dark blue bottom toddle tot. To split them open, you need like a big sharp meat cleaver knife and a hammer. You cut them above the waistline thing, just it's the head you want to cut off. So hammer down. If it doesn't go in straight away, just turn it over, which I'll do in a minute. And try again. It should, you'll feel it just go down. They are. Then put something over it, like cloth or something. Otherwise, once it actually breaks apart, it'll fly all over the place. And then just hammer it down till you've broke it open. That's it. Take the face off because I'll just use that later. Probably need cleaned up a little bit. And then we're going to break apart the blue bottom one. You just always try to remember, yeah, above the waistline. That's gone straight in that time, so. If you can, try and get for the blue bottom, the dark blue bottom, get this one that I've used with the flat black hair, because you use that later to make the part of the hunter one. And yeah, sometimes to get the hair off, you need to prise it apart and be gentle. But yeah, we use that hair later to make part of the hunter cap. And just have a look. It's up to you if you want to take this apart. Just clean it up a bit if it needs it. If the white middle is sort of yellowed with age, I'll just get a little Stanley knife and just scrape it or sand it. And the reason we've cut off above the head is so that white part has got a little middle section which holds it in place. And just check to fit. And then what you're going to have to do is below the sailor hat, there's a little, you can see the bit sticking out. Well, you can either use a hacksaw, but I'd usually just use a Stanley knife. It just flattens it off. You'll see the difference. There's this sort of bit that comes out the hat, and then there's an inner bit, and that goes down further. Well, that needs to be gone, so it's just flat. So you just trim all that away. Just watching your fingers, obviously. And then you can have sandpaper ready as well, obviously. Then if you want, just sand it afterwards a little bit, which I'll show you in a sec. You need I'll show you later, but you need a black Sharpie as well. If you want to go over the features on the face to make them stick out, and obviously to put a smile on it. A permanent marker, a fine permanent marker, I'd use a black Sharpie. I've just got that wrapped around a little flat ruler. I use it because I use it for sanding other stuff as well. Should be showing you that really, but it's basically just flattened. I've got OCD, so I have to literally hoover all the bits up every 2 seconds, so I'm working on a clean area. Right, so this is a little bit of tube, plastic tube or something. Just watch your fingers here again. Any sort of thing that looks like that, a plastic tube, a pen lid, part of a pen that's got no, obviously, ink bit in it. You don't need that long a bit, but you need to make sure the ends are both flat, because if you put it in, one of the ends is sort of, if it's not level, it might be harder to make the toddle tot seem level. about half that is what you need, that sort of size. It's about, I'm using a hacksaw to cut it in half, but I'll use a standing knife. It depends, for different Toro Tots you might need a different sort of length, so just keep loads of little bits of plastic tube. This isn't the way to do it. I don't know why. I'm nice with danger. Put it on the end of the table now and just cut through it. And then you need to cut through, because that's too wide. If you've got something that fits, basically you'll see where I'm going to put that in a minute, but it needs to fit inside the holes, but it needs to be in there, like, it can't be loose, because you want it to, I'll have to use a pair of pliers, just sort of push it together and then push it up into the hole above the head. You'll see in a minute. This bit, it goes up into the little gap in the head hole, and then it goes into the body bit as well, and it just keeps it together when you're screwing it together. It keeps the whole thing together. I'm just closing it up, trying to close it up, try not to crack it, because obviously then it loses its tension or whatever. And that's not very helpful. Hopefully I'll move it down a bit. Yeah, there you go. You'll see where to put it. And then it'll go in there. Obviously through the head. I'm just closing it up a bit again so I can try and put it together. It should just sit in there. There's only a little bit it'll sit in. Well, so I'll put it into the body bit first. Put it up into the head. And then just put a screwdriver in, just to in through the bottom, just to push it up into the hat bit. Push the edge of it. And that just holds the whole thing together when you're actually screwing it together, sort of thing. Right. Now you need a big, wideish pair of scissors, because what I do is, if you see them little nuts over on the side there, you just turn it so you're scraping, so you're making the hole in the bottom bigger, pushing it towards the wider bit of the blade. Just be careful when you're doing it. There's other ways you could drill into it, but you can only do it to a certain point before you break off the little middle stem inside the body bit. So you need to widen it so one of them nuts will actually hammer down into it, and it acts like a washer to stop the screw that I'm going to use. A 40mm length screw. If you've got a load of screws lying about, just see which one works. It's obviously got to be long enough once you put it through. Remember when you're putting the nut in, when you're hammering it in, you just check if it's sort of fit. It should fit, but it should need a bit of pushing in. And then make sure you put the white middle section back on. Yeah, I forgot there, because then that keeps the whole thing flat, stops that bit getting bent. So you hammer it in as far as it will go, obviously like that, and it's flat, level. But then you want it in a bit further. For different Toro Tots you need it in a different amount, just depending on what length screw you've got. So you get something that will sit, little metal bar I'm using. You hammer down, and you want to hammer it in so it's going into the hole at about half a centimetre, maybe centimetre, half a centimetre it must be, no more than that, so that when you put the screw in, and you'll eventually screw that into the head part, it sits flat rather than the screw sticking out the bottom. You get a drill, you drill into the sailor hat part a little bit, just so that when you're trying to screw the screw in, it's already got something to, just a little bit, you don't need to do a lot. You basically just want to, well, that's not very good again. camera setup, but basically there's just a start of a hole going into the hat bit, because when you're screwing the screw in, you need to push down the hat, push up on the screw, because you want it to dig in to the hat parts. Yeah, so this is Sharpie. All I do is, you might need to clean it first, which you'll see me, I'll probably do in a minute, because sometimes, because obviously these Toddle Tots are old and they've been sitting around for ages, I don't know if you get the dirt or grease on them or whatever, or layer of sort of something, so the pen didn't work. So you clean them first, and then you just go around the little eye bits. Have got their own little outside. Don't worry if you go outside the lines, you can just scrape it off with a little blade or something later. Go around the eyes, the nose, 3 freckles on each side. So if you're missing one of the freckles, just gently sort of put it in. And yeah, that's me using just a wipe to clean it so the pen will work better. You might have to clean them some more than others. Don't sand them, because once you sand them you can't. I did it for one thinking I'd be able to use it, but it's no good. So everything on it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you colour in the eyes, nose and the freckles. The mouth, I'll get to in a minute. Obviously you want to sort of smile. Try and have a computer or something in front of you with a picture of the Toddle Tots that I've used on when I advertise them on eBay. You'll see the picture that's out of a book about the Toddle Tots, and you can sort of zoom in and see what you want to do. I've done most of them with a smile, except for the painter. It's a bit different. So you draw a smile, obviously down the ways on the mouth. I went a bit over that, I'll clean that later. Right, yeah, so well, I'm not the best artist, but you just draw a smile down the ways, fill it in, just go a bit over if you have to, because you can later in a minute I'll show you with a little Stanley sort of blade, you can just sort of very delicately clean the bits off you want. If you go too far, you can go over the pen again. I do the smile down the way, and then there's a sort of raised little bump of plastic, what's the original mouth, which I'll sort of scrape away until I've got the mouth how I want it, sort of thing. Which I'll show you now. Remember to put the lid on your Sharpie, because they're not cheap. I'm not going to use that blade. I don't know why I started with it. That's me basically just shaping them out. I would either normally I'll get another blade out, just a little tiny craft blade or something, because that's big Stanley knife's terrible to try and use for this. I've seen sense now. The metal bar that I used to hammer the nut in is actually the handle of the. You get a little craft blade set, and you get a little metal handle, and it's perfect for hammering that in, unless you've got something better to use. Yeah, so you just want to scrape the raised part of the mouth away, so you get left with a. And just keep blowing on it every so often to get rid of the little bits. Obviously, when the ink of that dries really quick, but you might need to wait a minute sometimes if you've just done the mouth, so you don't sort of smudge it or anything. And just keep blowing the little bits off every so often, so you see what you're doing. If you're not happy with it, you need to go over a bit again. And you'll see all around there, it's up to you, because obviously if you're just going to make one set, you might not need to, but keep all the little any bits of plastic that you cut out of these, you know, because they're useful for making parts of the other ones and stuff. I'm just going to clean around them where I went off around them freckles. As long as you don't scrape too hard, you won't really see it. And then it's just putting it all back together in a sec. I don't know if this video is very well edited or anything, because I've never made any videos or anything before, so if it's rubbish. So I'll put the little plastic bit in, which you can't see, you can see now, and then that holds the middle and the bottom sort of together, just keeps them together more. You could, I suppose you could glue it together, but it just, for me I tried it and it's just, if it got knocked, it's thingy, so you've got to hold the top of the hat right down towards the screw. I know you can't see that there, and you'll feel it bite, so you've got to keep pushing towards it so that it bites and doesn't just gouge out a hole in the bottom of the hat. And that should be perfectly, you know, it's all secure together, and that's it. And then OCD again.